Go ahead.
Oh no!
For a lot of you to see, but there's blood splattering every time.
Kato wins. Flawless victor fatality.
That's a lot of points. Good job.
The kids are just gonna do that now.
That's objectively cool. You're a piece of shit, Joe.
And this is a brief sequence from the Nintendo version.
Where there's no blood, because Nintendo are cowards. Look, it's like sweat. Disgusting.
Now, the difference there, as you can see, is that that version does not have the finishing sequences, the death sequences, and in fact...
Wait, did Nintendo not even have fatalities?
If they remove the blood, I guess, like... Yeah,
Holy
you
shit!
would have to also not do that.
The finishing sequences, the death sequences...
Are you even playing the game anymore at that point?
Red blood spurting out, there's...
Come.
Well, there's some other...
Yeah, now it's come. Much better.
Blood. Now we'll go to the night trap
I like how he didn't even say what it was.
sequence.
It doesn't look like blood.
Now let's go to the next sequence. I'm
This SNES did have fatalities, apparently. Stock Scream.
No, that one was real. That's where it came from.
Oh, she's undressing by taking off her jewelry.
Yeah. Oh, I can see her whole neck now. I feel like that auger in the shower stall beating off.
Megan, this isn't gonna work. You're not hearing me.
What's funny is, like, Psycho came out, like, what, the 60s?
Psycho came out in
1960?
1996.
Okay.
Wait.
This is
Gus
just
Van Sant, Vince
this
Vaughn.
is a less sexual, less violent version of that scene, right? It's like, it's been a while. But it's a video game, so it's, like, worse, because you can't tell that it's fake.
Yeah.
What's funny is, like, their level of understanding with video games, they probably think that the actors are being controlled by a joystick right now. They probably think, like, like, each of these actions is, like...
I love that, and you're probably right.
100%. Like, at this point in time, they're...
Oh, that's so good.
Like, they probably think the player's, like, kidnapping her right now.
I love
The
that.
graphics are so advanced! They got a pretty, like, good quality copy. Like, this doesn't look anything... Which version of the game is it?
I was gonna say,
was
this
there
is
a
better
PC
than the
version
Sega
at the
CD.
time or something, maybe?
I don't know. Zap.
Or maybe this is... They just got promotional footage from the game? Like, I don't know.
Ooh, the 3DO. Good system. I'm more of a Neo Geo man myself. Disgusting!
Disgusting! That green tablecloth is disgusting.
Well, it's for green screen. So if they want to make the table look like something else,
It's for the poker tournament.
All right, let's continue. We'd like to thank you all for being here today. In order that we can move the hearing on,
I'm going to get cheated out of the
Second,
vice
let me say that I
presidency
share
and then
Senator
go
Lieberman's
crazy.
outrage at the excerpts that
Herbert.
we will be viewing on the TV. Mortal Kombat and Night Trap.
All these
are not the
motherfuckers
kind
make
of
me want to
gifts
vote
that
Republican.
responsible parents give. Night Trap, which adds
Yeah.
All these pussy ass Dems.
It is weird. But, like, yeah, like, especially, what, 1993? 1993 Democrats are... like, pretty
Yeah.
conservative, especially.
And 80s, because like 80s was all the Tipper Gore censoring shit.
yeah.
dimension of violence specifically targeted against
Why the fuck
women
did Tipper
is
Gore get to do
especially
anything in the
repugnant.
80s? Her
It ought
husband
to
didn't get to
taken
be
off the market
vice
entirely,
president until later.
or at the very least, its most objectionable scenes should be removed.
It has been quite a leap from Pac-Man to Night Trap. About 2 months ago, I saw the video game Night Trap for the first time. It is a sick, disgusting video game, in my judgment. It's an effort to
In my judgment, video game expert.
trap and kill women.
It's an effort to trap and kill women. Okay, that's just objectively wrong. This is literally what Anita did with Hitman, where she was like, "You're encouraged to do this," and it's like you see the point counter go down. It's like, okay, like, you're just misrepresenting the game.
I mean, it is
Night
fun
Trap.
to do it, though. She's not wrong there. You're not. I don't know. You're not like in-game monetarily encouraged to do
Like,
it, but it's
you're,
fucking
you're
fun to do.
decentivized to do it.
But it's fun.
The objective is to not have that happen.
But the objective is also to have fun.
For the first time.
I would love
It
to
is
see
a sick,
one
disgusting-
Republican senator show up and call them all the F slur.
Okay.
And to Night Trap.
You guys are being B.
About 2 months ago, I saw the video game Night Trap for the first time. It is a sick, disgusting video game, in my judgment. It's an effort to trap and kill women.
No,
Shame on people.
It's
that
the
produce
opposite of that.
Trash. It's child abuse, in my judgment.
child abuse.
And
I like it.
know there
Good
will be people
buzzword.
who say, well, we sit up here as the thought police, trying to suggest what people can see or do. It's not my intention. We have some basic responsibility in this country to protect children.
Think of the children, please.
The classic.
Dr. Provenzo?
Yeah, every I know that we're trying to make life worse for adults, but it's for the children's sake. So anytime we
Yeah.
do things that are bad for adults and say you can't do that, it's just think of the children.
Think of the
because
children.
They rule all of us.
Yeah.
They're in control.
Yeah, children run the
I think there are
government.
a couple of things. One is that a lot of people in the industry say that these things simply reflect what's in the culture. I think that by manufacturing games like Night Trap, what in point of fact these manufacturers are doing are endorsing that violence. And I think that's really objectionable.
What? It's
Okay,
like
so-
it's less violent than like every movie that came out in 1993.
Like, is it
Is it-
more
it's
violent
leagues-
than Terminator 2?
It's leagues more tame. Yeah, like it's less violent than The Birds. Like, let's just keep going back to early Hitchcock or
Yeah.
some shit that these people probably like.
And also, what's the point this guy is making? Because he says video game makers say they're just making what's reflected in the culture.
They're like, no, it's the opposite. They're trying to make the culture violent by making violent video games.
But he barely even made that point. He's like, they're reflecting the culture, and I think that's bad.
I think he was saying, like, some people say they're reflecting the culture,
Okay.
but actually it's the other way.
And a woman since the day I was born. And let me tell you, and I'll
Sorry, I've been a woman since the day I was born.
I think that's really
This is
Which is
this
actually
ahead of
not
its
true.
time.
objectionable.
and a woman since the day I was born. And let me tell you, on all my labels and all the hats I wear, I find that so extremely offensive, and the only word you can say to the manufacturer.
Is her credential just
A
I'm a
wo- a
woman?
woman? I believe her- yeah.
Because the entire Senate is just like filled with men.
Yeah, I
or
think
Congress or
she's
wherever
got a
this is.
name tag that just says woman.
That's so funny. Like, we brought a woman here today
Like,
to
she's-
tell you that she's offended by the portrayal of women.
She's not an expert. She's not a member of government. She's
As a woman.
A woman.
And the shareholders.
She
of
also
companies.
doesn't seem like a fun hang. Do you get that vibe?
Hanging out?
Yeah, hanging out. Would you
I
like
don't know.
to? Like,
I don't know her.
I mean, I feel
She
like,
is-
I feel like I do know
I don't
her
know if
from
she's
this.
paid to say who this. I don't know if she's just an actor. You know.
Is shame on you. And I think that they really should stop and think about what they're doing.
Okay, Marilyn Droz. That last name. National?
Yeah,
that supposed to be
natal.
national?
It's for babies.
Coalition of Television Violence.
national.
They could have just said TV to fit the word national instead of television.
That's true.
I mean, how would you like to have a teenage daughter go on
I
a
would
date
hate to have a
with someone
teenage
who's just
daughter.
watched or played 3 hours of that game?
3 hours?
It shouldn't take 3 hours.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Senator.
fuck. fucking losers who took 3 hours to beat that
Yeah.
game. Would you want your daughter, your teenage daughter, dating that guy?
Well, and thanks to all the members of the...
I like how, especially in 1993, like, video games were so gendered anyway,
Yeah.
that she didn't say, imagine your teenage daughter playing this game. She's like, imagine your teenage daughter going on a date with a boy who's played the game.
Well, no, girls weren't allowed to play video games until 2013, 2014.
Of the panel,
Girls weren't allowed to play video games until Life is Strange came out.
Now, we're also repelled. We're disgusted by this material, and yet it is a measure of our values in this society that we resist the impulse to do what I think, let me say for myself, I'd like to do. I'd like to be able to pass a law saying you can't produce this stuff anymore. We don't do that because we value our freedoms.
I'd like to do that, though.
I'd like to do that. It's unconstitutional, but I would fucking love to.
Yeah, I like how much the times have changed in 1993. I'd like to do that, but our Constitution says we shouldn't. And now it's just like, I'd like to suppress voters, and we're just going to try.
I think we're just
and if we
going
can get away
to?
with it, we're just going to do it. Like, we're just going to do whatever we can get away with, regardless of, like, what principle. There are no principles anymore.
Yeah.
But with those rights that the producers of video games, in this case, have also come responsibilities, and that's been the partner to
Spider-Man
rights in
logic.
our society. And I think what we're all saying is that we don't feel that this particular industry has carried out those responsibilities in the way that they should, and now's the time to change. And
He's trying to really dance around the fact that he doesn't want them to have free speech, even though that's supposedly something Democrats support more than Republicans.
Therefore, when I see the obvious sexual aggression against the woman in Night Trap, which kids
sexual aggression. I think you read something into that we didn't see, Joe. Are you okay, Joe?
The gender stereotypes we talked about in terms of skills, but we're
He's got a tiny hand. I'm sorry. Watch this.
Oh, he's got a little baby hand. Yeah.
Look at his
that
baby hand.
That doesn't fit
I'm
his body.
That we're not only
There's
perpetuating
a baby under there.
the gender stereotypes we talked about in terms of skills, but we're running the risk of increasing the probability that these boys who are playing...
It looks like a different person's hand. It's a different color.
Oh, maybe they're doing that thing where, like, Joe put his arms behind his back and then someone else, clearly smaller, put their arms, like, through his armpits, and they're doing a bit.
Yeah, what if it's just two people in a trench coat?
I love that.
Little babies.
Ryan Stiles is behind him. What a reference.
See, look, you can see the person. They just came in a frame. It's their hand. It's Jeffrey Dahmer.
Of course.
See, like, I like how they just appeared when we said that.
Increasing the probability
look at this.
These
It
boys
knew.
who are playing these games are going to be more sexually aggressive and abusive.
They're just staring at the camera.
Again, that's a personal, sort of professional reaction. Is there anything in the literature or in your experience or studies to suggest that that's true?
And I think some of this stuff, in terms of the type of thing you're saying here, I mean, look at the portrayal of the woman there in the image from Night Trap. I mean, there are obviously sexual overtones operating.
I mean, I beat off.
I thought I was moved by your statement, which is one that parents must all feel, which is they wouldn't want their daughters going out with a boy who just playing.
Let's be clear. This is a game for boys.
Dr. Provenza, you
as all games are.
Indicated that in your book, and I know you have in your book, state that video games are not only violent and sexist, but they're also racist. Can you just briefly give us a few examples?
Let's talk about the racism in this game.
In interviews with children.
Yeah, not like movies.
No.
Time. No
racism in 80s, early 90s
that
movies.
In all other forms of media.
I mean,
but video games were the only places where you could find racism.
Look, In the Heat of the Night came out in the 60s.
Yeah.
Racism has been over since 1967.
Yeah. Oh my God.
What I found was that they talked about the ninjas as being bad. And then you asked them who the ninjas were, and they were sort of like the Japs and the Chinese. And
This is incredible.
Fun.
like the Japs. as they concern troll over races.
Turns out
I was born in the wrong time.
Any Asian as being extremely violent, as being dangerous, as being evil.
As inventing viruses.
it's operating at a very basic level and at times simplistic. It carries over into other areas as well. There is depictions, I believe, although it's hard to prove, but my perception of homophobia operating in terms of how certain types of women are portrayed. I think that there are also things about race in terms of black and color issues.
Where was the homophobia in Night Trap? I don't think there was a gay character anywhere. Is he talking about Night Trap still? What's going on?
No, I think he's getting more general, but also even that's a fallacy because we had also ended homophobia by 1993 as well.
When did the YMCA come out?
Like the 70s.
Yeah, well, there we go.
Yeah. Come on.
That are
Grow up,
clearly
people.
there. They're subtle and they're hard to get at sometimes, but I think they present a rather disturbing world.
Senator Dorian.
Thank you very much.
Oh, because
Mr.
vampires
Rose,
are gay.
We have testimony that will be submitted later, some of which has already been submitted by Mr. Tom Zito.
What a
who's not
great
with us,
politician
President and
haircut.
CEO of Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's exactly like he said it. Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay, go back.
So
I don't want to talk
funny.
over it.
Where he's like, actually, I am here.
Yeah.
Tom
Go
Zito,
back.
who's not with us.
I am.
Go back further.
Fucking.
Even further. A little more.
Some of which has
Little.
already been submitted by Mr. Tom Zito, who's not with us, President and CEO of... Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Zito is here. I see. Okay, Mr. Zito has presented testimony. Mr. Zito says that
I'm here. I can say it myself.
Night Trap was set out to create a spoof of vampire films.
Fair.
I like how stun-locked he is because he wasn't expecting him to be like actually be.
The person.
He's like slowly processing it in his head. He's like, "What do I do?
How do I handle
What do I do?"
this?
Vampire films.
I'm going to ignore him.
Yeah, Mr. Guy eating boogers in the background
Was
too.
I love. Yeah, he's
create
my
a
guy.
Spoof of vampire films.
In his mouth.
Yep. Yes, get in there. Get in
And then-
there.
Mr. White from Sega,
USA.
Vice President Sega, who will testify
USA.
in the next panel, says in 5 mitigating points.
He is so
responding
fucking
to the
thrown by
controversy
Tom
over
Zito being there. Oh,
Night Trap
fucking Billy Madison reference at the
is
top.
that
Very
the
nice.
controversial scene, apparently the one we've just seen, and the one
Today,
I've seen
Junior.
before, is displayed only when the game player loses. Does that make you feel any better?
Oh, it makes me feel a lot better that if you're a loser, you're dead. No, it doesn't.
What?
That's how games
It's
work!
not a real person. That if you're losing, you're dead.
What?
I mean, what?
Will you
That-
make
She just pulled that out of her ass.
Will you make a judgment on this woman already?
That was the most insane response I've ever heard. I couldn't. I was to say that with such confidence is insane. That's crazy. My God. She just made that up right there. She wasn't sure where she was going to go.
She's a professional.
But she had the confidence to just kind of like, we're doing it this way. it was halfway out. She kept it going.
I'm committing.
Only when the game player loses.
Thank you for the sub, Friday at Elm Street.
Hey.
Does that make you feel any better?
Oh, it makes me feel a lot better that if you're a loser, you're dead. No, it doesn't. We're dealing with self-esteem in here. There are...
What? If you're
Clever.
bad, you lose and you're dead. If you can't beat the game, then it makes you feel bad.
Are we also banning board games at this point?
Yeah, you can't lose. You're dead. What's Clue? Like, there's people that die in that game.
There are.
Like,
yeah.
that
Clue
was
is
around
about a
since
murder.
Before, like, the movie came out in the 80s. When did the board game come out? Like, 60s?
I don't know. 1874, I believe.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Many magazines out on the market, like the several I brought in
They're
here
calling
today.
Clue America's first
These
board game.
magazines are filled with game tips on how to play the game.
There was a picture of Pac-Man on the back, too. Like,
Yeah, but it was sexual.
yeah, it was Miss Pac-Man.
Ooh,
That
with the
in
bow.
no time at all, children become
Oops.
winners and kill. These
Sorry.
magazines are filled with game tips on how to play the game. That in no time at all, children become winners and kill, and their kill ratio goes up. It tells them the secret codes and exactly what to do
They're Katie Raish.
to become successful in murder.
To become successful in real murder.
I mean,
Like,
look,
okay,
I
like,
look for tips anywhere I can get them.
in a game of chess,
Yep. You're trying to kill the king.
Like,
You're trying to commit regicide.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's literally like the pieces that you have are representing characters that you kill.
Yes.
Like, it's like, oh no, this is the first time this has happened. Like, fuck off. It's so crazy that, like, just old people, whenever something new happens, they're like, no!
Just
no!
Absolute
no!
panic.
And it's, oh my god, I fucking, like, all I want to be able to do with my life is grow old and not be one of them.
Wouldn't that be nice? I
like,
mean, it's not going to happen.
In every generation,
it's never
like,
happened once, but it would be nice. Never once.
I mean,
not a one. Can't do it.
Okay. There's cool old people that exist right now.
No, there aren't.
Okay.
By definition.
Commander Sims at the beginning
Except
of
me.
Night Traps looks at you straight in the eye and he says, quote,
I think that people can grow above their caveman brains and, you know, fight the urge to be like, well, it's different. So am I scared? Right? I understand there's a powerful urge. I understand it's a very powerful urge.
It's strong.
It is innate to human beings.
I think I think it's because I'm so young. I see the old and find them so unrelatable. But perhaps as I get older, perhaps even into my 30s one day, I'll maybe change my opinion that perhaps you can grow old gracefully and not like a total piece of shit. But no promises.
You don't have the brains or guts for this mission.
I'm still in the baby
give
zone.
Control to someone who does. That's what it says at the beginning of the game.
If you don't have the brains or the guts for this assignment, give the controls to someone who
Give
does.
the controls to a boy.
Head of the SWAT team. Or, excuse me, it's the SCAT. It's the Sega.
Excuse me.
Head of the SWAT team. Oh, excuse me, it's the SCAT.
I'm sorry, they're kitty
Something
cats.
Or other, you know, SWAT team.
They're SWAT
is
cats.
What it comes down to. So there's this sort of fascist military type with a, you know, police cap on, looking at you and saying, "If you're not man enough to do this, forget it." You know.
They're the fascists.
Would you consider Night Trap part of the military-industrial complex propaganda?
Also, it's like, dude, yeah, like, it's an actor, and you're supposed to like role play as the character. Like we're putting you on a special assignment. Like, it's like the intro to every ride at Universal Studios.
Yes.
Like Florida. They're like, the characters of the Fast and Furious franchise need your help. If you're a baby, then you suck.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know.
This is a no-baby zone.
You don't deserve to play this game.
So obviously it's not directed for the other half of the population.
Well, obviously.
The other half of the population.
Ladies.
Oh, thank you, Sal.
Thanks, Sal.
This Mr. Zito in his testimony also says the only thing worse than a violent video game is the even more frightening suggestion of censorship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I understand his concern about censorship, and I guess since in the 13
he raises a
years
fair
I've
point,
served here in
but
the United
counterpoint,
States
fuck
Congress,
you.
That you will not find a congressional record that I've left that represents a belief in censorship. I think censoring what people can say or see or do or think is a trail. It's a long, tortured, dangerous trail.
I mean, this will be on the plays through channel, but it could also easily be a highlight. So
I don't know exactly what the solution is.
Dealer's choice.
But I know that.
I mean, it can be both.
No.
To those,
yes, it can.
Pick a side.
No.
Those who produce Night Trap.
It's fence sitters like you, which is why we can't have video games anymore.
Personal observation is I think it's pathetic and shameful that the conclusion of a game like that, a quote game,
that's a
unquote,
grand bald spot
is
he
to
has.
drill into a woman's neck, to grab a woman with a metal hook. I mean, I don't view that.
It's called a suck trap.
Also, by this point, Stephen King had written child porn at the end of his book. like,
literally a child orgy.
Yeah, like this is what has already happened in the timeline. Like,
yeah.
This is the Night Trap is not like a crazy thing that needs to be addressed in Congress.
Night Trap was the most shocking thing in our culture in 1993.
I don't believe much in censorship, but
but
moving down the road,
you don't
find how do we prevent children from having access to that sort of glorification of violence
by censorship.
Lieberman, a violence, I think, that is directed all too often against women.
In the past year, some very violent and offensive games have reached the market.
Pac-Man, Ms. Pac-Man, Pac-Man Jr.
Mortal Kombat and Night Trap. And let me say that for the record, I want to state that Night Trap will never appear on a Nintendo system.
Until 2018, motherfucker! Bow, 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 bow.
Yeah, 25 years later. Fucking liar,
Dumb
Howard
bitch.
Lincoln.
Obviously, it would not pass our guidelines. This game, which, as you've indicated,
Mr. Nintendo,
promotes
you
violence
lied.
against women, simply has no place in our society.
Thank you all. Mr. White, let me begin with you, and I suppose...
Mr. White?
Mr. White is my color, not my name.
Be more specific.
In one sense, go to the...
Would you call
the
that
heart
guy
of the
Mr.
matter.
Black? I don't think so.
We saw the clip before from Night Trap with the woman...
I'm more of a Mr. Pink.
Ooh.
I don't tip.
being attacked. And I said earlier that I thought that violence was gratuitous and offensive and
He reminds me of, like, Jacob's Ladder.
ought not to be available to people in our society. Mr. Lincoln, just here a few moments ago, is vice president of the other leading company in this field.
Can we pause for 1 second and make everyone who has ever called Joe Biden Sleepy Joe apologize? Because Lieberman is the Sleepy Joe of American politics. Come on.
Sleepy Joe needs a cup of Joe.
Exactly.
Nintendo said, and I quote, "This game simply has no place in our society."
Until 2018.
Why don't you agree?
Uh-oh.
Why doesn't Sega just pull Night Trap off the market?
I think, Senator, with all due respect, the point I tried to make in my oral arguments and testimony was that this industry, as part of the interactive media industry,
Stop
has grown
pitting the Joes
tremendously.
against each other.
The children represent only a portion of the audience that we try to serve with our interactive software. Night Trap was developed specifically for an adult audience. Sega took a leadership position in establishing an independent rating council and appropriately labeled Night Trap MA-17, not appropriate for children.
So Sega rated it themselves before... Okay.
And we believe, just as you, as Congress has treated the motion picture industry, that we as an industry should have an opportunity to regulate ourselves, and believe that we've taken that first step this morning in developing an industry-wide coalition.
Okay, so they did that this morning because of the pressure, I guess.
To adopt an industry rating system with enforcement.
It's so weird that in this, that Night Trap and Mortal Kombat are put on the same level of, like, notoriety and importance when, like, Mortal Kombat was, like, kind of ubiquitous in, like, for anyone who knew anything about games. And I had not heard of Night Trap until yesterday.
Which is why it's so funny, the interviews of the guys being like, yeah, the sales had kind of, like, slowed down to a crawl. It didn't sell that well, and then all of a sudden...
And then, whoop!
Whoops! Now it's a hit.
To adopt an industry rating system with enforcement.
I must say that the exercise of responsibility, do you think it's even appropriate
Could you find
for
me
to
a
be pushing
pillow?
that stuff out there for adult audiences to use? I mean,
Pushing? You forced everyone to buy it.
Yeah.
You're a pusher.
You put it onto everyone's iPhone,
No
like
one
you
does things
too.
because they want to.
No.
You're pushing these things on people.
It's appropriate.
No one has consent over the actions they take in their lives.
I got that, I got that, goddamn, I'm your pusher man, I'm your pusher man.
Which the woman is attacked.
Chancellor.
I mean, clearly she's dressed provocatively. She's brutally attacked by the people dressed in dark clothes there. Is that... Why even... You've mentioned a list of products that your company produces. A lot of them are great. Why do you need to go across that line?
Why you gotta be like that?
For adults
Why a bitch
or
gotta lie?
Kids?
Let me make 2 points. First,
shut up.
If you showed only the violent and gory scenes from out of context consecutively, one after the other, from Roots or Gone with the Wind.
Pause. Yeah. How the fuck did he pronounce?
I know.
that first word.
Roots.
Can I get an instant replay on that, please?
Text consecutively, one after the other, from Roots or
Roots.
Gone with the Wind.
Famous miniseries Roots.
Films, but in reality they aren't. And what you've done is picked a particular segment of that game. Let me clarify. A winning
I like Bill
within
White.
Night Trap saves the women. Your job as the player is to identify the villains and to trap them. If you are a good player, you keep the villains from the women and men who are potential victims. This game is an appropriate game for adults that choose to entertain themselves in this way, shape, and form.
If you're a bad player, what happens?
If you're a bad player, what happens?
Fuck.
That interrupt. If you're a bad player, what happens?
Fuck you.
So funny.
Absolutely fuck you.
That's such a fucking douchebag. Like, what? This is just... It's so funny because they're actual children, and they're like, but kids can't handle this. But they've got the baby brains. They're the ones with the baby brains.
Some of the babiest brains I've ever seen.
Like, they're the people that can't handle this.
Yeah.
Fucking, you could give the game to, like, a 5-year-old, it would be fine, you know? Like, fuck off.
If you're a bad player, you will see that scene.
The woman gets...
Also, the 5-year-old would never even make it to, like, the... they wouldn't be able to... I don't know, actually.
It's a grown-up game.
Kids these days are getting a lot better at video
They're putting
games.
all the hormones in the milk.
Attacked.
The woman gets attacked.
Going through puberty at 5.
All right, I'm going to listen to this.
You will see that scene.
The woman gets attacked.
The woman gets attacked.
You're going to have a long way to go to convince me that you're raising anyone's values or reducing anyone's inclination.
By a long way to
aggression,
go,
particularly
he
aggression
means
toward
there's
women,
not
by
a
putting this
single
on the
thing
market.
in
We
the
agree with
world
much
you
of
could
what was
say
said on
to
the
change my already made-up mind.
Particularly aggression toward women by putting this on the market.
We agree with much of what was said on the earlier panel. We believe that more research is necessary to conclude the effect that these games are having on both to conclude the effect that these games are having on both adults and children. The point we want to make is that
until the research is done.
Until the research is done, we feel it's an appropriate step to develop an industry-wide rating system which has enforcement that will allow adults, which represent 60% of the players for the Sega CD system, to make the choices to whether
60%, that's almost
right
12 players.
My question is, I guess my point is that I appreciate the rating system that you...
Yeah, like, fuck, yeah, a lot of horror movies had come, like, just slashers.
Yes.
Were a huge part of,
There
like,
have
the
been
previous decade.
violent slashers since the 70s.
Yeah.
Adopted, and I guess my question is, would you accept the responsibility to try to make sure that every link in the chain that Nintendo is involved in, such as the advertisements and the brochures that we've discussed with Mr. White, follows out carries out your desires with the rating system?
Well, we'll certainly do that. You know, the point that I'm making, Senator, is that the game ratings, it just doesn't go far enough. We have to get our hands on the game content.
Pussy.
Nintendo's always been shit.
Just
oh my god.
Pussies and idiots since day
fuck
one.
You.
We've been doing that, but like any other system, it's not perfect.
Bitch
Let me
Tendo.
make just a couple of other points. I can't sit here and allow you to be told that somehow the video game business has been transformed today.
We have to only make games for babies.
I mean,
Nintendo.
to their credit, they stuck to that.
Yeah.
From children to adults. It hasn't been, and Mr. White, who is a former Nintendo employee, knows the demographics as well as I do. Furthermore, I can't let you sit here.
Yeah, he did do a savage pronunciation of children. He did do a children.
A children.
And buy this nonsense that this Sega Night Trap game was somehow only meant for adults.
I'm not
the fact of the matter is, this is a copy of the packaging. There was no rating on this game at all when the game was introduced. Small children bought this at Toys R Us.
Children. That's a children, all right.
As well as I do. When
That's
they
a children.
getting heat about this game, then they adopted the rating system and put ratings on it. But today, just as I'm sitting here, you can go into a Toys R Us store or a Walmart
Just trying
or a
to
Kmart,
undercut Sega.
and you know as well as I do
You
that
dick.
you can buy this product and no one, certainly no sales clerk at retail, is going to challenge you. So the point I'm getting at is putting these ratings on, if that's as far as we're going to go, isn't going to get us anywhere. We've got to get further into this. And let me
Nintendo sucks.
Nintendo, I'm so mad at Nintendo right now.
say that I agree.
Well, thank you. Thanks for your forthrightness. Thanks for assuming responsibility. I believe you've shown some leadership here. You're not perfect, as you've said, but you've been a damn sight.
Snitch-ass Nintendo.
Senator, make a comment, please.
Today, Mr. Lincoln, on behalf of Nintendo, has accepted the idea of a rating system. They have previously been self-regulating more than you have. They chose not to produce Night Trap, and they have a clearly less violent version of Mortal Kombat out. You have a rating
with
system,
cum
but
instead
I've
of
still
blood.
not today heard you accept responsibility for regulating the content of your games more than you already are.
In a typical video arcade, I saw one before Thanksgiving at the mall in
Dorgan.
Byron Dorgan is a great name for this man.
Minneapolis, the largest mall of America, I believe they call it. Would you find Mortal Kombat,
Yes.
Night Trap?
You wouldn't find Night Trap, no. To my knowledge, I've certainly never seen Night Trap
Would you
out in
find
the commercial
Sega's version of Mortal Kombat in that arcade?
Well, in the coin-op, Mortal Kombat is not put out by either Sega or Nintendo. It's put out by a Illinois company.
Oh,
Is there any
so
supervision in
shut
those
up.
arcades that you're aware of? I mean, the reason I ask the question is I don't see a bunch of college sophomores crowding that arcade. I saw a bunch of kids playing video games. And the question is, if you've got
Yeah, teenagers
video
don't play
arcades where
games,
kids spend
babies
hours
do.
playing video games, is there any basis for believing that some of the more violent games are out of the reach of young children? In my judgment,
No,
not.
absolutely not. Night Trap, as an example, is not a coin-op piece. It is not out in coin-op. If you look through the list of the pieces that are available for the home market and the children, the vast majority of those are not out in coin-op.
Do you just say, well, here we're going to lay this on the market and let the buyer beware? If some kid can get access to it, fine. I understand that when Night Trap was released,
Stephen King's The Shining. You don't have a rating system on books. you can't ban a kid from buying like Mein Kampf under your current laws.
I
because
would
it doesn't apply
never
to,
ban a kid from buying Mein
right?
Kampf.
It doesn't apply to, but you're letting children read child porn
Kids
if you
gotta
let
know.
them buy Stephen King's The Thing.
Kids got to know about the struggle.
Right? So fuck you.
it was not rated. And I might be wrong, but I understand that the first time you rated it at the 13 level. Is that not correct?
You're wrong, Senator. I'm sorry. The rating system went into effect in June.
The Thing? Sorry, It. That's what I meant. Did I say It last time? Or did I say The Thing both times?
No, I feel like you said it. Or,
Okay, good.
or else my brain is just like now automatically translating your nonsense into things that make
No,
sense.
Yeah. It is It.
It was rated for the first time, and it was rated MA-17, and it was produced with that label on it from that point forward.
I said The Shining. I hope I didn't.
Well, you definitely said that. You said The Shining once.
Okay, Stephen King's It.
Yeah. I feel like you said It once and The Shining once. And I thought you meant the Shining when you said The Shining. So...
What did I say about The Shining?
I don't know. You're like in a fugue state. It's hard to keep track of anything.
It's rated MA-17, and it was produced with that label on it from that point forward.
With respect to the question of the video arcade and the video games in which
Whatever.
a woman is grabbed by the neck with a hook and drilled in the neck with a tool, and someone grabs the heart out of a character, we ought to have just as much concern about protecting our children against that sort of trash as we have in dozens of other areas in protecting our children. And I honestly, Mr. White, I read your statement.
Is our children learning?
That you don't understand what we're talking about here. Let me tell you why. In your final point about night.
There's no point watching the longer version if we've. Because then we'd have to watch 26 minutes that we've already watched.
I was going to say, this is 26 minutes. That's not long enough?
Yeah.
Really?
We're fine.
I think we're good.
Thank you. You should have linked it first. There's no way after we're already done this. Sorry.
Trap. You say this. Finally, there is some research suggesting a short-term, momentary increase in playful, aggressive behavior after playing video games or watching violent television programs.
Who would want playful, aggressive behavior?
No research concluding that this has any lasting impact.
Oh.
In fact, quite the opposite is true, you say.
Okay.
as you indicated earlier, I went into, one of my staff members this morning went into a Toys R Us on the way to work, and Night Trap...
He was about to say that he did, and then he remembered that would be too big a lie.
Went into a
I like
Toys
that.
R Us on the way to work, and Night Trap is right there alongside the other video games.
Yeah, that's how selling games works, asshole.
I mean, they have a variety of books in the library that kids can buy.
Yeah.
I want to show you 2 examples that deal with advertising. The first is this Toys R Us circular.
Not the circular.
If you can see it, I think you'll see, Mr. White, in that case, that the ratings on Mortal Kombat are not visible. They've been covered over. Now, I know that's not your ad. You don't own Toys R Us, but I'm just trying to make the point of how important it is if you're really going to rely on...
That looks more like a square than a circle.
...to follow that through the chain. Second, we've got this ad for Lethal Enforcer that Senator Cole has pointed to before.
Oh, Lethal Enforcer.
And the rating, which is on your package, is effectively... it's not visible. The carton is raised in such a way that it's covered it up. And, of course, apart from that, and you'd have to look for it, I mean, one other exercise of responsibility here would have been simply to have had a mark somewhere.
Oh, no, the giant picture of the gun was not enough to inform the parents that it's a mature...
That it has guns.
Yeah, like, a gun would be fine if it's a gun game for children.
Yeah.
America.
Somewhere else they're saying this is MA-17. This shouldn't be bought or used by
my
anyone
ass.
under the age
17.
of 17. Final question for Mr. White and the panel. In your guidelines, you say that you're not going to approve products which contain material that denigrates any ethnic, racial, sexual, or religious group. Obviously, I think that Night Trap denigrates a sexual group, namely women.
The gays.
Women are a sexual group, am I right?
A highly sexual group, if you ask me.
That was crazy.
One of the most sexual groups.
That was nuts. Wow, I guess that's it for Night Trap.
we did it.
That was very, very cool. 10 out of 10. That's my first 10 out of 10 game, Night Trap.
Finally. Scoot, when you watch discussions like these on your own, do you yell at the screen too, or are you a phony? I don't watch discussions like these on my own, so I can't say that I wouldn't.
Okay, we're gonna get back to Fatal Frame, I guess?
Sure.
Okay. And we should probably order some food also.
Also, sure.
So, Night Trap BRB music? I don't know. I love it, but...
I mean...
Sure.
See, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's
appropriate.
Throw that in the rotation.
Yeah. I'm comfortable with it. As long as I don't get, like, fucking claimed or some shit. I guess we'll find out when we upload, but... BRB stream playlist. There we go. Very cool. All right. BRB, everybody. Thank you so much. BRB.